Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's episode of Late Night Q&A with ZodWriter. I am ZodWriter, and with me tonight, I have the esteemed pleasure of welcoming a man that I've wanted to have on my stream for a while, someone who I talk about a lot on this Late Night Q&A show. I'm sure you've seen me talk about you. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Michael B, the Game Genie, with me here today. Michael B, welcome very, very much. Welcome like 1,000 times. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
Of course, man. All you had to do was ask.
Yeah, it's just exciting to be interviewing you for the first time on my channel. I've had a lot of great people in the home arcade community on here, and it's just great to be able to add you to the list of the many great people I've had here. I'm just so super excited. I got a million and one things I want to talk to you about tonight, and so I figure we would just get straight to it, man. I know the story. A lot of people who are in the home arcade space know the story, but for the sake of those who don't, what's with the iArcade cap?
With the iArcade hat. Uh, so I have two. I only have one now. I had two. So a long time ago, when iArcade was first coming out, they did a stream where they actually went, Michael and John delivered the first cabinet to Prentice's house, or one of the first cabinets. I don't know if you remember that. Do you? Like where they actually went to his house?
Yeah, I remember that. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so they went to his house, and when they did it, they decided they were going to do a contest during the show, and basically Prentice had to set up his Wi-Fi. So he said his Wi-Fi code name was Outer Heaven. So they did this quick Q&A, and they said first person to write in the chat, whoever knows where Outer Heaven's from, what game series, we'll send you an iArcade hat. So I, of course, knew it was Metal Gear, so I typed it in, and then Prentice like made a weird face. He was like, "Did you look that up?" And I'm like, "It's like the easiest, most softball video game Q&A question ever." But okay. So, anyways, I won an iArcade hat for doing that. Now, have you ever seen the original iArcade hats they sent out?
Yeah.
I don't like them. They're kind of like a little bit too small for me. I don't like it's got a strap on the back. Like I don't like that. So anyways, I had it for a while, and then my buddy Mike Dalton, he's the biggest iArcade fan in the world. He's got like pieces of the cardboard box like cut out from his iArcades that he's got taped up on his wall. So I decided to give him my hat. And when iArcade set up the shop that they had, I went out and bought one. Otherwise, I'd still be wearing my two $6 hats that are almost exactly like this I got from EB Games. One is a Westworld hat, and the other one is a Wayne Enterprises hat. But that's pretty much the story. Like I had two, gave one of the hats away, and just bought this one.
Well, that's super awesome because I mean I've seen you wear the iArcade hat on a lot of your streams, and I totally follow all of your stuff, and it's amazing because I get a lot of people saying on this stream on the streams when they come to me, they always say things like, "Well, what do you got against Michael B? Why don't you like Michael B?" It's like it's not that I don't like Michael B. It's like I love Michael B. I just like to bring you up because you in my mind you are the quintessential example of somebody with an amazing collection of arcade one-ups, and I mean you celebrate all of the companies. I mean I was so thrilled when you finally got your MVSX. I mean that was my one bone of contention. I'm like, Michael B, he gets all the arcade one-ups, but he was hesitating on the MVSX, and to me, the MVSX is the best offline cabinet you could buy if you like those types of games. So
yeah, well, I don't know if you ever heard how hard the MVSX is to get here in Canada, right? Did anybody ever explain that to you?
No.
There's only one.
I know they were doing. I know they were doing it worldwide, and they were doing it through the website. I know that's how I got mine. I got mine through the website when they first went on sale.
See, I don't know if they were doing that, and we get like wicked. Like I bought two cabinets directly from Arcade One Up, Burger Time, and my Outrun stand up, which is the only way I could do it. And then by the time shipping and then tax and duty happens, like Burger Time, I was $350 US extra added after I bought the cabinet, and then Outrun was over 400. So, like, I don't buy anything from the US and get it shipped here because we get crazy charges. So there was
Yeah,
only
I can
one
imagine.
distributor for the MVSX in Canada, and that's a place called Canada Computers. But they don't offer free shipping, so I had to wait for like a crazy sale on the MVSX because otherwise I was also paying an extra like $180 for shipping. So I was like,
That's insane. That
yeah.
is insane.
So it like if I could have got it with free shipping or reasonable shipping, I would have been like, sure, I probably would have had it earlier. But
I will say this: it's like you and P Dubs, for example, had me completely sold on the At Games Legends Ultimate.
yep,
Between watching the two of you guys, I was like, man, this is the cabinet to get. And so many people, and then your average gamer started talking about it as, again, being the one cabinet to get if you didn't have room for any other cabinet and you just wanted to be able to play everything. This was the cabinet to get. And for me, it was one of those things where I've got about 5 arcade cabinets, and I didn't end up getting the Legends Ultimate. What I ended up getting was the Legends Gamer Pro.
yep,
And then I basically made my own couchcade version where I put the Legends game. I went out and got a 24-inch a 24-inch HD TV and connected the Legends gamer to that and hooked it all up along with the Bobby Vucade PC that Bobby sent out, was so
yep,
kind to send out to everybody. Again, shout out to the great To Die For Bobby Vu. And I connected it all to this 24-inch monitor, and I have it on the couch next to me. And it's basically what I consider my own personal version of the Couchcade. And again, it's the same exact thing essentially to the Legends Ultimate, with the exception of the spinners. I think those
yeah,
are the only, because the Gamer Pro even has the pinball buttons on the sides. So I was, so I was like, man, I'm going to get into the At Games ecosystem. And I had ended up getting a Walmart clearance where I ended up getting my Legends Ultimate for, I think it was $49.99. It was like a fire, some sort of like fire
yeah.
sale online they were having. It was only for like a day or a half a day or something. So I ended up getting it online, and it's fantastic. I love it. To this day, I have to say that I probably play that the most, second only to my MVSX, which I
Yeah.
play almost every day because I love it. I wish it was online, but other than that, I mean, I think it's a very, very underrated experience.
Yeah, it actually totally is. I wish, and like, we don't know what happened with the license. Like, do they still have the license if they're going to make another iteration? I would imagine.
Well, you guys remember they were doing that. They're coming out with that new cabinet.
Yeah,
It's
what is
the smaller little.
trying to
I don't know
I'm
if it
trying to remember the name of the company
is
now
it
because it's the same one.
Visco or
Visco, the same company that did Ando Duras. Yeah,
Ando Durez. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So to me, I mean, especially, and I think it was you who pointed this out. If you like shooters and first person shooters, Neo Geo first person shooters, that might be a better option, more so than the MVSX, because the MVSX was being criticized for being such a fighter heavy cabinet.
yeah,
But to be honest, that's what Neo Geo was known for. So I never quite understood the criticism, because a lot of people back when this was first announced, I remember there was you, Retro Ralph, good friend of mine as well, and a bunch of others who did these amazing hype videos for the MVSX. And then it seemed like, for some reason, once it finally was depicted as real and it finally came out, people were getting their hands on it, and there was all this controversy over review units and that kind of stuff. It seemed like a lot of the hype amongst YouTubers died down dramatically. I mean, you know how like a movie will come out in the movie theater and it'll do
yeah,
well its first week, and then the second week it'll have this tremendous drop. That's how I felt about the MVSX. Like once it finally was coming into people's hands, like YouTubers stopped talking about it.
It's a fault with what we do. Everybody that does this stuff, especially the stuff people that are trying to do this stuff professionally. I'm not one of those people, but the people try to do it professionally. There's a timeliness to what you talk about, right? Like if you talk about it before it comes out, you can do pretty well. But once it comes out, it's kind of a dead. You know what I mean? Like a dead topic. So I think what happened a lot of the cases was it was considered to be older news, maybe not as successful. So I think people stopped talking about it. I can tell you personally, I didn't talk about it as much because I couldn't get one, like I just told you
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And I will also tell you, I ran into a situation where I don't want to say I was a little offended, but I was a little caught off guard because I was told that the review unit was going to come out to me. And then I had some problems getting communication from them. Then I was told it wasn't coming out to me. Then I was told it was coming out to me again. And I was just like, guys, what's going on here? Are you going to send it to me so I can review it, play it? What are you doing? Like, because I couldn't buy it. So I just wanted to try it out and see what it was like. But I don't know everything that happens with that company. It was just funny. And do you remember the interview they did with Unqualified Critics when they announced the riser? And then everybody jumped on them for that, right? So if you go back and watch that interview, I don't know if it's still online. They actually say in it, the guys from Unico, they're like, "Yeah, Mike B, Game Genie, we're gonna send that unit out to you." Never ever did.
I will say this. I've been known to do some controversial live streams with people in the home arcade community, and I did a what is still to this day considered one of the most controversial streams where I had a ton of people on, and I had John D
Mm,
on as well, and it was this big. And I think the thumbnail, I think I have it labeled as John D versus Unico,
yeah,
because I had the Unico guys on the stream, and John D came on, and Michael B. This is, I kid you not, this is exactly what happened. And I guess I could talk about this now because it's been a long time, and
yeah,
I still don't know if I'm ever gonna hear from Unico again. But what had happened was, I'm such a big shill, for lack of a better word, for the MVSX. I absolutely unapologetically love that cabinet. So anything Unico puts out, I'm going to be championing because I'm so enthralled by the MVSX. I was just a big fan, diehard. See, I grew up with Neo Geo. I loved it. I used to have Pizza Hut near my house where I lived as a kid, and they had a Neo Geo big red cabinet, and so
yeah,
there's a lot of nostalgia for me there. And as you know, this is what we as content creators like this are living through. We're living through the bowels of our nostalgia, and it's just coming out in a very, very positive way. And I appreciate that 100%. So I'd like to thank you for being such a positive force in the community, because you're definitely a positive person. I've never seen you actually legit go at somebody, or be super critical of other content creators. And I think that your positivity is awesome, and it's infectious, and it's a beautiful thing, and I really appreciate it. So with that being said, the back to the Unico story. I had so after so well actually wait before I did that,
yep,
I had been in contact with Unico, and they were going to send me out their next arcade unit for review. Whatever that unit is or isn't going to be, I have no idea. At the time, this was way back then when we were. So I guess that whatever unit it was still in development, but I guess it was going to be the successor to the MVSX, or going to be something else. So they were going to send me. I was in good communication with them. Things were going well. And then after the stream where I had the Unico guys on, and John D, and a good portion of the home arcade YouTuber community was on that stream with me. I mean, B Kong showed up. A lot of people were there. Uh, I had reached out to Unico to find out, because I wanted to do a separate interview with Unico, because I didn't feel like it was fair that
yep,
I'd had Unico on and then I had John D on, and it was kind of it felt almost to them like it was an ambush situation, and they let me know. They let me know that how they felt about it. So they essentially, so they're like, Zod, we're gonna have to take a step back on any interviews or anything that we're gonna do with you for the time being, because after the other stream, we're gonna just take a step back and wait and see once some of our products start getting released. It was something to that effect. So
Yeah.
I kind of took that as, well, geez, Odd, you kind of screwed the pooch on that one, because now they don't want to deal with you anymore. But I couldn't. But it was like this. It's like, okay, listen, you have a chance to have John D and the Unico guys on your stream all at one time, and you're not gonna take that. You're gonna say, well, no, John, I can't have you on the stream because I've already got the Unico guys, and I know they're not comfortable with you. So we're gonna just wait on that. And in all fairness, I think John D is awesome. I really like John D.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
But I like the Unico guys too. I don't have anything
Yeah.
personal against any of those guys. And like I said, the MVSX is my favorite home arcade cabinet when it comes to offline. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, so I was kind of like a little bit taken aback. I'm like, oh God, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I should have just had Unico on at a separate time, and John could have came on at another time instead of allowing that big melee of a stream to happen. But I just thought that stream was super cool. I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's a hard mix sometimes, because you want to do the right thing for everybody, and like you're looking at this like, what a great community get together. Like, this is an awesome thing
that's
to
how
do.
it was.
But I guess for Unico, they're looking at it from a business perspective. They got to protect their image, and they want to know heads up ahead of time what the details of the show is going to be. Like, most companies are pretty awesome. Like, they'll come on, they're like, John's like, yeah, whatever goes, like, because that's the guy John is. So he'll go on a stream and he's pretty much open for anything, right? But some other companies, especially Unico, man, like after the stuff with UC and stuff like that, I would imagine it's they're a little bit more guarded now, because they've had some bad outings out in the public. So
But I wouldn't have gone. But my thing is, I wouldn't have gone if I was Unico. I wouldn't have gone to unqualified critics in the first place. I mean, I think that was kind of their first mistake. But that's just me. I mean, I think they.
yeah,
I would have preferred them to go to you, or go to somebody, or even me, because I'm such a big shill for them, or or Retro Ralph, or somebody, even P-Dub, somebody.
Yeah,
But
I think Ralph would have been a good fit for them, to be honest. But it's hard not to go to unqualified critics, because if he's willing, you look at his subscriber base and his numbers, you're like, that's probably our best avenue to promote this product and get the most eyes on what we're doing. I think Ralph would have been a better, more entertaining interview, but David did the best he could. It's also sometimes like you got to be careful, because you don't want to overhype an announcement. And I mean, it was a riser. Like, they had to understand that people were probably gonna be a little underwhelmed, because people's imaginations go wild. Everybody went into that thinking, yeah, they're going to announce a Capcom cabinet. That's the next one.
Oh yeah,
they're going to do a big blue
space. There's no way there's no way you don't. And then to be honest, Chris, good old Neo Severa, he's amazing. He actually did his own custom version where he took the MVSX and turned it into a Capcom play system, and he posted about it online, has done a couple of videos on it, and it looks fantastic. It's one of those scenarios where, just like you said, if that would have been the cabinet that they would have announced post the MVSX, the internet would have went nuts, because at that point it's going to be quality. It's going to be a high quality device. People are going to enjoy it. So before I check in here with the chat, I want to ask you though, how are you faring with the MVSX? What are your feelings towards it right now that you've had it for a while?
I like it. I will tell you, I don't think it really belongs in a multicade section. I think I'm going to move it downstairs. I'm trying to make a little bit more room along my Arcade 1-Up cabinets and make kind of like an overflow room, coming out of there. I'm going to move some stuff around in my basement, and I'm going to put it down there. And I think I'm done selling cabinets for a while. So I'm not going to let go of Frogger. I really like Frogger, believe it or not. I wish it was no Vaseline filter and I could live with everything else.
I could totally see you someday getting a real Frogger.
I would love to get real cabinets. The problem is I live on an island and there's nothing here. But if I didn't, I would have several real cabinets right now, I can assure you.
Yeah. But okay, so you're saying, and now have you done the Hilo hack for the MVSX?
It was done for me. Actually,
Okay.
this cabinet behind me actually came from Nostalgia. So this is the Canadian traveling unit. He eventually just sent it out to me, and I ended up buying a base, and that's what I've got there now.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Yeah. So shout out to Nostalgia for that. That's awesome stuff. And
like I'm weird too. Like I don't care about the other games on it. I just wanted the rest of the MVSX games. I wanted to play like Ghost Pilots and the other shit.
Yeah. Being able to play the Neo Geo, that's to me, that's what the greatest part about it is. The fact that, I mean, the only game, and I'll be honest, the only game outside of the Neo Geo catalog that I really like to play on the MVSX is The Simpsons. And that's because The Simpsons plays better on the MVSX than it does on the arcade one-up. But
yeah, sure. I think it'd be great. You put a big trackball in the middle of the MVSX. It'd be really comfortable.
I mean, well, yeah, and you've got more space for your hands on the MVSX too, to be honest with you. And so let's see here. Let's see what people are doing here in the chat. We've got Console Fanboy. He says, you haven't made it as a YouTuber unless you were a ZodWriter guest. So congrats to Michael B. Thank you for the compliment, Console Fanboy. I really appreciate that, man. Your family for sure. And I got the great Slonko Bomb Gaming. She says, Zod. Now, if you haven't checked Slonko Bomb out, she is amazing. She does playthroughs of classic retro games. She recently did the Super Mario World games, and she did one of the Donkey Kong countries, and then just tonight she did a playthrough of the pre-alpha version of the new version of the Nemo game that's coming out. Remember that classic Nemo arcade game and NES game from back in the day?
Yeah, I remember the Capcom NES one.
Animated movie. And so she is fantastic. I recommend everybody subscribe to her. She has such an infectiously positive personality. She's so much fun. She's very, very happy and exciting. Does a great job. I just love positive streams like that. And Chad Snyderverse says, good evening, Zod. Did you see the news about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge? It looks awesome. Can't wait to play it next week. I am hyped. Michael B., where are you on Shredder's Revenge? What's your take, man?
I'm super excited. I mean, I'm a big Turtles guy. So did you see the news today during the summer gaming event?
Yeah, and I also
Casey
saw
Jones,
Casey
players.
Jones, and then I also saw the big $200 collector's edition that they want to put out.
We can't talk about that. I don't need to spend that money.
I wouldn't either, because I kind of feel like all the stuff that it comes with is kind of useless. In fact, I'm gonna get the game digitally, because for me, I kind of am getting, and I think I'm becoming conditioned as a home arcade owner, as being a guy who no longer cares about actually collecting discs and that kind of thing. I don't mind the games being digital, because I'm used to playing all my stuff now on arcades. I play my arcades more than anything else, and there's nothing. You're not plugging anything into those. All your stuff is right there. So it's kind of like a psychological conditioning for me. So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm all about physical media. I think it should absolutely be there, but the limited run stuff, I haven't dabbled with the limited run stuff much yet.
Wait 2.5 years once you order it from limited run, and you'll see. You basically, when you buy something from limited run, the best way to approach it is just to forget that you ordered it. And then it's like 2 years later when you get it, it's like a gift. Because
Yeah.
you totally forgot that you purchased it. The money was long gone, and you had no idea. You're like, what the hell is this? Oh, this is Undercover Cops. I ordered this back in 2016. Oh, here it is. Like,
Do you
oh,
do you follow RGT85, my buddy Sean?
I certainly do. Yes.
Yeah, so he told the story there the other day that he moved and they actually sent his stuff to his old like location, like in a different state, like because he ordered it so long ago, right?
See that would be a nightmare. That's why whenever you move house, you have to make sure that you forward your mailing address.
Yeah, see the key things to do when you move is you have to, change over your power, your utilities, all that stuff. Get all your addresses changed for your billing and let limited run know. That's the three things right in order.
And I got a 1999 super chat here from the great console fanboy. He says, if it wasn't for John D and One Up, there wouldn't be a home arcade community. iArcade, etc. They provided jobs and reignited the flame for arcades in general. We need to recognize One Up for all jobs created for YouTubers, modders, etc. I couldn't agree more with this statement, console fanboy. Thank you very much for the super chat. You are the man. Michael B, don't you agree this is true? I mean,
Yeah, 100%. The other thing that you take out of that people won't see is like real arcade people like kind of don't like the one up stuff. Like they make fun of it all the time. Like this is going back way
I
before
was
even like some of our
so
people.
happy when
Yeah,
Retro Ralph transitioned away from just covering the one up stuff and got deeply, deeply into his passion of getting the real arcades. That got me excited.
yeah, but the point I'm trying to make from this is arcades in general, like what we do, like the home arcade stuff and arcades in general, it's a real niche hobby, and a lot of it is forgotten. People don't really think about it anymore. Even in retro gaming, arcades is actually down on a different level. If it wasn't for Arcade One Up, some of this stuff wouldn't even be in the public view anymore. I mean, they're bringing new eyes, new attention to this hobby, which is going to benefit them. So, as much as Arcade One Up's a dirty word sometimes, you got to realize this is bringing a lot of casuals into a marketplace and making arcades relevant again, and that's on One Up. It's funny because it's actually on Walmart, because Walmart put out a bid for making home arcades. That's how this started in the first place, right? They reached out to Act Games, then they reached out to Tastemakers, and Tastemaker took the bid.
Yeah, I reached out to Act Games too, and they rejected me. I reached out to them. They're like, we're gonna have to pass, ZodWriter.
Oh, that's too bad.
I was like, oh my god. I'm like, what did I do to offend Act Games? I've been really, really hyping them up too because I like their stuff. But like I said, I credit you and P Dubs for my interest in Act Games, because you guys have been really really made that Legends Ultimate seem like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I was like all in. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get that. That's great.
So you've got the gamer, you like your controls in your gamer, right?
Oh,
That's
amazing. Just like the
that's
iArcade.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like they don't have the same costs that Arcade One Up does. Arcade One Up, a lot of their money's put into licensing, right? Like, sure, Act Games has 300 games on that Act Games Legends Ultimate, but it's not the same level of cost. Those 300 games don't amount to even one license for Mortal Kombat. So Arcade One Up has a different price structure. Act Games can go with a little bit more quality controls and shit in their stuff. The thing that I always say about the Legends Ultimate, if you have room for one cabinet, I mean, I don't understand how you don't get something like that, because if you're okay with bringing ROMs to it, I mean, you've got great fight sticks, 2 6-button controllers, you've got spinners, you get your trackball in the middle. Like that does so much in terms of a multicade. And I know people go out and spend a lot more to have multicades built that don't have spinners, don't have trackballs. So there's a lot of value to it. That's what I like about it.
Do you have any multicades in your collection that are not One Up or Act Games or anything like that? Do you have like a main cabinet or anything?
No, I always wanted one, but like I didn't want to. Like we have a local guy here who I like and dislike at the same time, and I don't dislike a lot of people, but I dislike what he did. because he started a company where what he was doing was he was taking Pandora's boxes and sticking them in real arcade cabinets. So what he was doing, he bought all the arcade
Oh
cabinets here,
no.
gutted them, put LCDs and Pandora's boxes in them, and then sold them. So then he ran out of real arcades that he could buy, and he started fabricating his own, which is what he should have done in the first place.
Oh my
But
God,
like
that is
most of our real arcades are dead now because this guy bought them up to gut them and put Pandora's boxes in them.
see, and that right there, I don't care if you're, you could be the biggest home arcade fan in the world, support Arcade One Up, At Games, iArcade, all these companies, but never, never desecrate original machines and make them more like one ups. Don't ever do that. That is the worst thing you could possibly do, because it should be, at that point, it should be about preservation.
Yeah.
And that's why, going back to what I was saying about Ralph, that's why I was so excited when he made the jump from doing the One Up Weekly and constantly talking about One Up to doing his true passion. Like, I see that his destiny is being fulfilled now, because he's going around restoring these machines and doing things. And that never would have happened if he would have stayed, caught up with just focusing mainly on one up. It's so nice to see people when they transition from, I wish I had that kind of space, but I don't. I wish I had that kind of space for like real arcade machines. But to me, this is, like you said, this is a great entry point for people. It's a great way to make arcades relevant again and to make people excited for these things.
Exactly. Like, you might know some of the big titles, like someone might buy a Simpsons cab, someone might buy even like a Pac-Man cab, and then all of a sudden they start playing the other stuff on it, and they're like, the hell is this Mappy? What's Mappy? And then they start looking up arcade history, and that's how you get that entry point and people get interested in this stuff, right? Arcade One Up, these other home arcade companies are doing that, and they're shining a light on a very niche hobby. Even pinball. I mean, pinball, even at its height, was still like super niche. Like, there's so few pinball fans.
I can't. Yeah, I can't get into pinball.
No.
I tried. And I was, and again, watching all of you and watching Bobby Vu do all these great mods and things like that, but I just couldn't get into it. I don't want to play with balls in that regard. I'm good. To me, it just was like, and here's the funny part, because getting back to At Games, I got a couple of pinball tables for At Games. I got the Taito, the first volume with Taito that came with Rastin and Space Invaders. You have that one, right? You got that.
Yeah, right? They sent all of them to me, right?
You got
because
all of them.
I'm in that influencer program. They didn't turn me away for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they turned me away. I'm still salty about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, the way they emailed me back, no, we're gonna have to pass for now, ZodWriter. I'm like, huh? What did I do? I got a bad reputation already. So it was like, no, but I wanted to try the pinball. So I got the pinball when they were doing one of their programs, and it was discounted. I think it was like $20 or something for the tables. And I played around with those, and I thought, oh, that's cool. But that's all the pinball I'll ever need in my life. I'm not a fan, so it's not something I'm gonna, casually.
Yeah,
that's cool. I've got a couple of cool tables. I like Space Invaders, whatever. But I mean, I know that if I were to get more, it's not something I would play. So I'm not gonna buy something to just leave it there, like that Arcade One Up gaming table that B Kong
the Infinity
has,
game table,
the Infinity table, and he's got a tablecloth over it. And I mean, if it gets to that point, then that's when you've made a bad purchase decision. Let's see. We got. I wish the MVSX would go on sale for $299. Then I would want to get it fully assembled. Is another good thing. Yeah, that was another great thing about the MVSX, it being fully assembled. Because I don't know about you guys, but having to put together those flat, flat boarded, arcade machines is really it's a pain. I hate
Yeah.
it. I
So,
can't
so
stand it.
can I tell you? Can I tell you something funny? Someone actually said this on one of my comments once because I used to get a lot of comments early on when I started collecting the arcade one-up cabinets and covering it because I was interested in it. I came from the retro gaming community, so people used to make these like comments to me like, "Are you having some kind of breakdown or like is everything okay?" And one person actually wrote something down to say that it's an addiction that there's like a real addiction out there for people putting together like IKEA furniture and stuff like that. So they assume that my addiction was actually getting these cabinets just because I like putting stuff together. Like how
Wow,
weird is that?
that is weird. I don't know anybody who likes putting those things together.
No.
To be honest with you, that's the strangest thing ever. Because if you really think about it, it's very, very time consuming. Like when I got the iArcade,
Yeah.
I gave it to my father, and he put it together for me, and then he brought it back over a couple weeks later, and and I mean, but to me, that's not something I ever want to do. Like, I don't want to put them together. I'm not a fan of that. And so the MVSX was a big draw too, simply because it came fully assembled and you didn't have to do anything. And, all the arcade cabinets I have, I have a Mortal Kombat bar top
Yeah.
that was made for me by the great Bobby Vu. It's a fantastic cabinet. It looks 100% legit, and it is, of course, fully assembled. And then I also have a Play Minimal half scale Mortal Kombat replica cabinet that's 100% like looks exactly like the original Mortal Kombat cabinet. It's 2 feet tall, and it has the full Johnny Cage artwork, and it's got it just looks exactly like the original Mortal Kombat machine, and it's great. I ended up modding it because it came with an orange pie in it, and I was having all kinds of issues with it, so I modded it and put a Raspberry Pi 4 in it, and it's perfect. It's a wonderful cabinet. It's got a 10-inch screen. It's really nice, really nice. It's bigger than a countercade, but I got it like right next to the $18 Mortal Kombat 2 countercade. So
Yeah.
it's but it's, I mean, again, everybody enjoys this stuff in
Yeah.
their own, in their own way. And Console Fanboy says here, dude, Arcade One Up is shipping Mortal Kombat 30th beginning Monday, June 13th. I just saw it on their One Up site. It's not mid-July, it's next week. Wow. To see people finally getting these, especially after all the controversy with the monitor gate. Your average gamer says pizza party, and CT Jason says it gets easier than the more you build. I'm able to build Generation 2 cabs without a manual. I actually enjoy putting them together.
See, that's why CT Jason has so many. He's addicted to putting them together. That's clear. It's got to be
Yeah.
it.
Let's see. You should show off your Mortal Kombat collection one day. I am. I'm going to actually, Console Fanboy, when I showcase the Bobby Vu. I'm going to showcase the At Games Couchcade that I set up, and I will show off my Mortal Kombat collection that day. I believe I'm doing that on June the 21st. Michael B., how many arcade cabinets do you have now?
I have, including my pinball machine, 19 one-ups and 5 cabinets behind me, so 24.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Like you and Jason over at the Third Floor Arcade, you guys are, and CT Jason, he's doing pretty
CT
good
Jason.
too. He's doing pretty good too. I've seen his collection as well.
Man, yeah, like I don't know how Third Floor Arcade Jason is like still got room up there. Like he's got to be like that thing has got to be packed. I
He's
mean,
headed towards the 4th floor.
yeah,
Obviously.
he's got to build a 4th floor at this point.
He's almost there. We got let's see, we've got I like the MK 30th anniversary cab. If I had space, I would want that, and also the Joust, just because They nailed the artwork. That's the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. I don't know how I feel about all these reskins. I think that's kind of my issue with One Up at this point, because they get a new shape, almost like they 3D print a new shape for the cabinet, and then that's like the shape of the year. And then they basically just reskin these cabinets, and oh, now we have Joust. But how do you have Joust with a Mortal Kombat layout? Like, what are you doing?
I know. Like even the art on the side, they changed it a little bit. No one's talking about the yellow circle with the item inside it. The original one had a Williams logo, but obviously it's not a Williams game anymore. So they took Williams out and they just put like this weird shape in there. I don't know. I know what you're saying, and like I said it as well. I was like, man, look at Dig Dug. It looks great. And there was so many people jumped down my throat on my video and sent me messages saying that's not a Dig Dug cab. That's a Pac-Mania cab with a Dig Dug skin. So I get it.
Well, have you ever been tempted to, even though you know that it's just a reskin of another cabinet you already have you ever been tempted to buy a reskin in
Yes.
spite of it, and to want to have it there in spite of basically essentially having the exact same cab, but just a different skin? That's the only difference.
So a long time ago, I did a Chill and Chat Monday episode talking about how I had a Street Fighter 2 Big Blue, and also was going to keep my Capcom Legacy. And I was like, is it crazy that I wanted to keep both of these? I mean, they have different games. So like, I was thinking about doing it. I want that Dig Dug cabinet. I don't need it. I'm going to keep my Pac-Man Bandai Namco Legacy cabinet from last year, but I want Dig Dug too, because I'm doing this for different reasons. Like, I don't consider the arcade one-ups multicades. I don't really care what games are on them. I treat them more like quarter arcades. These are recreations of the original cabinet. I will have much more fun playing on a Dig Dug on a Dig Dug cabinet than I will playing Dig Dug on my Bandai Namco Legacy cabinet. I know it's stupid. I know it's probably a complete waste of money, but it's what I collect for. I can't get real arcades, so I like getting 3/4 scale replications of arcades. That's what I want.
Mike says, I think Dig Dug looks great too. I just got a Generation 1 Galaga for $150 at Big Lots. Ooh, they got one-ups at Big Lots now. That's awesome.
Yeah, apparently.
So I plan to use that for a new mod. See, and that, I think, is the greatest thing in the world. The mod potential. If you can get these older generation cabinets for cheap like that. Like for me, the Mortal Kombat 2 for $18, that little Amazon mistake, was worth getting one just to have for the potential of maybe modding it in the future or doing something with it. Or even if you didn't do anything with it, for the $18, it's worth it just as like an ornament, even if you're just going to leave it there and not really do anything with it. I just, to me, when you can get these deals, like I was seeing people getting, Simpsons cabinets for $50. I was thinking, well, if you could get it for $50, that's a good value in spite of the issues and all the problems people are having. I mean, I wouldn't get it because I feel like I have better ways to play The Simpsons, but I can understand the allure of it when you're talking about $50. When this cabinet was originally a $600 cabinet originally, or was it $500? I don't remember.
The one that's on sale is the cheaper one, which I think was $529. So that's the one without the stool and tin sign. So that was the one that was on for $199, $529. The other one that was $699 had a stool and tin sign.
I got to ask, I got to address the elephant in the room. Are you going to get yourself a Mortal Kombat 2 collectorcade?
No, I'm not getting any
for your desk. For your desk.
No, I'm not getting any of the collectorcades.
A nice desk ornament.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. There's no incentive to get that, especially when you're looking at it's around the price of a countercade, and it doesn't even function like that, and it's going to have the console versions of the games. I mean, who wants that? I I've never understood, and this is my whole thing is in some cases, and there haven't been a lot, but in some cases there are console versions that are better than the arcade versions.
Yeah.
But the problem here is none of that applies to the collector cades that they're releasing. Those are just garbage.
I think Justin explained it to me. Justin Console Kits. It's just the problem is the chip that's inside. Apparently, like it's a really, really, really low end chip, and like the maximum it can do in emulation terms is somewhere around Genesis. So they were stuck with that. Also, when I made my first video about the Collector Cade, I had the wrong opinion. I thought this was going to be a competitor for like Replicade and Quarter Arcade. Well, they're not thinking that way at all. They just want to pump these into Walmarts, and they're going up against the My Arcades.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, who better to compete with the likes of those companies
Yeah.
than the company that started the whole home arcade genre essentially in One Up. One Up has the licenses, so maybe they can't make their 3/4 scale ones look as authentic. But if you're going to compete with Numbskull and New Wave Toys and you've got the licenses, people should expect more from you. I don't want a desk ornament of something that's the shape of a Mortal Kombat last generation legacy cap. I'm not interested in that. If they're going to do a Mortal Kombat 2 desk ornament, why
Yeah.
not do it like the authentic Mortal Kombat 2? Make it look, and I wouldn't even care if it was one of those things that didn't even actually play. If it
Yeah.
just showed like the attract mode, and you just put it on your desk, and that would be cute. Even and if it looked authentic, that would be awesome. People
Yeah.
would have a whole collection of those, and if they could compete with like Numbskull and better still, why not make them like USB chargers, like the ones that Numbskull puts out? They got a Polybius one coming
Yeah.
out, which looks fantastic too. By the way, for a USB charger, it looks pretty awesome. So I don't know. I'm just wondering why, if they have the licenses, why they're not doing that. I don't get why they want to make it look like a mini version of the cabinets that they actually sell. Like that's
Arcade One Up throws a lot of shit at the wall to see if they can get new people, mass people in at different price points. And I think this is another example of that. I don't think they should be called collector cades. I think they should be called casual cades. And they're just shit that's going to be on the shelf in Walmart that they're hoping random people will walk by, have no clue about differences between arcade and console, and pick up and just say, yeah, Mortal Kombat. That's it. Like, it's not aimed at us or someone who know the difference at all.
And Console Fanboy has echoed my sentiments quite a bit here. Numbskull should make a Mortal Kombat also. Michael B, could you imagine a Numbskull Mortal Kombat 1? Like, talk about authenticity. You would literally, I mean, and maybe they would have to wait until Arcade One Up no longer had the license to do it. But if they do it, it could be the greatest looking desk ornament you ever saw.
I don't actually think Arcade One Up actually has exclusivity with Warner Brothers for the Mortal Kombat
I don't
license
think they I don't
in the
think they
home
do
arcade
either.
space. I think the exclusivity comes from how much it costs to get the license, from what I understand. Apparently, like Mortal Kombat is pricey, and that's why none of the other home arcades have jumped on it yet.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Mortal Kombat, this being the 30th anniversary. I wouldn't be surprised to see like the arcade games getting re-released on consoles
Yeah,
for the 30th anniversary. So you would have like like years ago when they released the Mortal Kombat arcade collection. If they just redid that and put that out on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch and that kind of, I could see them doing that, because that would be another way to exploit the license, and versus just getting a Mortal Kombat 30th edition anniversary cabinet. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk online about them actually doing remastered versions of the first 3 games and getting those back out.
Yeah,
That's what I want to see.
I saw the prototypes that
Yeah.
there were, from what I understand, there were like 2 or 3 different companies that were working on prototypes for remastering the original trilogy, and all the pictures and videos, and I even played a demo of one, and they look fantastic. Any of those would be a good idea, especially now. I think we've come far enough to where they could actually remaster those and put those out, and people would be happy. I'd be excited. I definitely would. I mean, look at what they're doing with Ninja Turtles. I mean, putting that Cowabunga collection with the arcade games and all the console versions of the games. They should do the same thing with Mortal Kombat. Put all the console versions, throw all the console versions on there too, and even go as far as to release. Did you ever hear the tale of the Mortal Kombat 1 re-release that Super Nintendo was planning on putting out after all of the backlash for Mortal Kombat 1? There was actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was called Mortal Kombat Nitro Edition. And what the Nitro Edition was supposed to be was, it was essentially going to be Mortal Kombat 1 with all the blood and fatalities put back in, along with some extra stuff that's not in the arcade game, some special edition exclusive stuff that was only going to be in the new Super Nintendo version. And this was supposed to happen. This was in development, and a prototype exists. They just haven't unearthed it yet. But allegedly, the story goes that this was supposed to be released prior to Mortal Kombat 2 coming out for home consoles. But before they could get everything to where they wanted to, Mortal Kombat 2 was announced for home consoles, and they just decided they were going to go whole hog into it with Super Nintendo with the uncensored version, and that's why Mortal Kombat Nitro never happened. But I'd love to see the prototype.
Yeah,
because that
absolutely.
still feels like a gap in my childhood as a Super Nintendo, growing up as a Super Nintendo owner. I wish I had Mortal Kombat with blood and fatalities for Super Nintendo. I mean,
it was brutal. Like, that stupid, like, Johnny Cage kicks you in the chest and his foot disappears. Like, it was not good.
It was terrible. It was so terrible.
That was one time I was super happy I had both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I was thankful that I had friends who had a Sega Genesis, and we played and we'd play. And I mean, heck, even the Sega Genesis version of Mortal Kombat has since gotten an upgrade, and an overhaul by some modders, and it is incredible. Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess it's along the lines of what we're getting with the Mortal Kombat Plus, what they're working on, and which by the way, the work that they're doing there is god tier for the original Mortal Kombat games. I mean, Mortal Kombat 2 Plus is wonderful. I mean, all of the additions and special things that they're doing, and I'm just so excited because there's just so much content out there for us all to consume at this point. Are you okay? So you're getting the 30th Mortal Kombat, right? You're getting that.
I think so. I already sold my Midway Midway Legacy cabinet.
Are you torn between Joust and some of these other ones, these other skins?
No, I mean, with Mortal Kombat, the Midway Legacy. I'm getting Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to go. I keep wondering if everybody was kind of overreacting with the whole monitor gate thing for Mortal Kombat.
I hope we are.
I really hope it's one of those situations where people just overreacted and when we get it, it's better than we thought. I
I,
just
I don't think people would have overreacted at all if it wasn't the situation with the golden tee and the screen. Like I was really hoping like the golden tee stuff was overblown too, and I got out there, I played my buddies, and I got to tell you, it does suck. So hopefully Mortal Kombat looks a lot better. That's all I'll say.
And P Dubs is saying, is Numbskull ever going to release a new cabinet? Where are the 4 cabinets I ordered from New Wave? I've never ordered from them, from either of them, so I don't know. I was tempted with the Cubert though, P Dubs. I'll tell you that. You had me going on that Cubert. I was like, wow, it looks beautiful. I'm just like, okay. But I don't know. I got enough ways to play Cubert. I don't need to buy a.
You get a super chat from a guy we both know here. You should look at.
Yes. $9.99 super chat from the great John D of Arcade One Up. I love John D. He is awesome. Consolecade is for mass retail and not to compete. So you're talking about the Collectorcade, right?
Yeah.
Collectorcade is for mass retail and not to compete with Numbskull or Replicade, 2 companies I have deep respect for and worked with in the past. I've been trying to get a Tron quarter scale. Gotta go. Thank you, John D. Thank you for answering that question. I mean, you summed it up. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Thinking about it from the perspective of fans, I really, although I can't say that you making something that would be competition, just be healthy competition. I mean, Numbskull and New Wave are great companies, and they're going to continue to make great stuff regardless. So competition, breeds better products for everybody. So I don't know. I just thank you, John D. Appreciate that, man. We're gonna one of these days we're gonna get John D on late night Q&A for a one-on-one. It won't be John D versus Unico. It'll be just John D. Cyber Mind Arcade says, John D, are we getting lots of cabs in the future? I could answer that. Yes. I mean,
probably
they're not going to stop making cabs. That's their thing. Console Fanboy says, all hail John D. Let's see. We've got Michael of all trades. John, I think that we have that issue again where we can't see each other's messages. Oh my God. Let's see. And Mike of all trades says, get in line, Zod. Yeah, I'm noticing. Like I said, I'm excited right now. I'm starstruck to have Michael B on my stream now because let me be honest with you. Every time I like I was telling you, I get all kinds of people. What's your problem? Zod, you're one of the biggest one-up haters. Why do you hate Michael B? Why do you hate One Up? And that couldn't be further from the truth. I may be critical of One Up sometimes, but I'm critical of all the companies, and Michael B is a lot nicer than I am when it comes to a lot of these machines. And I think that's what the difference is. Like, I didn't play around when it came to Tron. Okay. I had to be honest with everybody when people asked me about Tron. People were asking me, and I took the position, just like Console Fanboy, that it's an expensive purple nightlight, and I don't understand why everybody was so excited to get it, because in my opinion, Tron was a crappy game, and everybody's stick was breaking, and all these people were complaining they'd have the machine for a week and their stuff would break down. Then they'd have to go through One Up to get it replaced. And it would be this big issue. And I'm like, if you're paying that kind of money for a cabinet, at least let it be of something that you're gonna consistently play. Like, I know a lot of you guys are super, super big fans of Dragon's Lair. And I can respect that, but Dragon's Lair is not my game. So I'm happy to play it on the iArcade with no issues, and I don't necessarily need to feel the need to get an arcade one-up to play the same game I could play out in iArcade. But that's just me. I mean,
Yeah. So there's difference what people want, right? Like
yeah.
most people are just like, I just want to play the game. They don't care as long as it's on an arcade cabinet and it plays well. But then there's people who want to go the next step, and or John D said it himself, like they're the purveyors of nostalgia. So they don't just want to play the game, but they want to play the game and remember it like they did when they were kids going back to the arcade. It's the same thing of I can buy a Raspberry Pi and play every Super Nintendo game, or I can buy a SNES Mini and play every Super Nintendo game that way, or even with my Switch and the SNES controller. What's more fun? Is it more fun just playing it with the Xbox controller with your Raspberry Pi, or to actually have that original Super Nintendo controller or a facsimile of it, playing it that way? What makes you feel more nostalgic? That's kind of how I look at it.
Okay, cool. And shout out to the great Steps Gaming. She says, "Hey, it's Michael B. He is wearing an iArcade hat. Great
So
accessorization. I love that word."
can you tell me the backstory why you asked about the iArcade hat? Like Justin made a comment to me too, and he's like, "Did they send it to you?" And I was like, "No, I bought it, man. Like when their store went on, I like the gear."
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing you and other people wear iArcade hats because iArcade is a fantastic company. I've had this is the thing. I had the most heartwarming discussions over Facebook DMs with Jong.
Oh, he's so nice, right?
Oh my God. The fact that you could just DM him
Yeah,
and be like, "Hey, I'm just reaching out because in the beginning I was super, super critical of iArcade. I
me
mean,
too.
people tell me that I'm hard on One Up, but some of the things I said about iArcade, I was so bad on the iArcade that they had me blocked on Twitter for a while. It was terrible, and I was just like, because every time they would come out with a new game, I would be like, "Oh, well, I know people that had that on the Apple IIe as well." And it's just like it's one of those things where like I my favorite analogy for the iArcade is like it's like buying a PlayStation 5 and only being able to play Atari 2600 games.
Yeah.
I I
Or
was I was so critical and I was so wrong because I love the iArcade. I mean, ever since I've been there's so many gems and games that are on there that you'll never see licensed on anything else. And it's crazy. I mean, it's impossible, that they even have these games. Like for me, I'm a big fan of like the toe plan shooters.
yeah.
So I love Hellfire, and Truxton, those types of shooter. I mean, those games are great. And then when Rastin 3 Warrior Blade came out, I nearly had a heart attack because I love that game so much. And the way it looks on the iArcade, that 19-inch screen with it just looks beautiful. I mean, so I got to a point where I literally took back everything bad I ever said about the iArcade. I went back and any negative tweets that I'd put out about iArcade, I went back, I deleted them all. I wrote a personal apology to Jong. I was literally, because to me, iArcade, what I found is people were buying it for not because of what it does now, but because of what the potential is. Because a lot of those games are like, well, I'm not buying iArcade just to play eggs, or I'm not buying, iArcade just to play this game, that game, or the other. But let's be honest, Elevator Action Returns is an epic game. Okay. Being able to play Breaker's Revenge online, that's super cool. And Double Dragon, and I just, so for me, I've seen the light, and I'm a big iArcade supporter. I can't support them enough, and I just want them to be like the most successful company ever because they're just so positive and
Yeah.
polite, and they're passionate about it. And Jong is one of the most passionate people I've ever seen when it comes to the home arcade community. It's amazing to me. Like what? So what about you? You said you were similar. You were
Yeah,
critical initially.
I was super critical when it was first coming out. I remember being on like Retro Ralph's stream, like in the chat, and just saying like, I don't know who this product is made for. Like, it didn't make sense to me who they were targeting. And I was lucky enough; they sent out one of the review units to me here in Canada. It was the only way I could get it because this was another product we couldn't buy in Canada. So I got a review unit, and I started playing like the stuff I didn't think I would like, the more modern stuff like Riptide Renegade GT. I was playing Wonder Boy on it, and I started really enjoying even what is
Oh,
it, Dead
Wonder
Effect.
Boy, Wonder
Yeah,
Boy. Oh my
Wonder
god.
Boy is so good. I had already played it on the Switch, but playing it on the IRK was a fun experience. So all these games that I questioned, and I was like, who wants to play modern
They need to drop.
non-arcade
They need to
games on an
drop
arcade cabinet?
cotton. They need to drop
Yeah,
cotton on the iArcade. I mean, oh
yeah.
wow.
So all the stuff that I thought wouldn't make sense and wouldn't work, I was having so much fun playing, and I was like, I was wrong. I was just wrong. Like everything Jung said about the experience, being able to play it in a different form factor. Even I'm a big Ease fan. Even playing Ease on this thing is great. I love it.
It's fantastic. I mean, and the buttons and sticks are the same as with the At Games products. I mean,
Yep.
you're getting the higher quality right there out of the box. You have no reason to replace. You don't need to replace. The buttons and sticks are fine. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
playing Killer Instinct. I'm good. I Killer Instinct. I think you know why I brought up Killer Instinct.
Oh yeah. I've been waiting to get to this.
I gotta ask because I've been, and again, man, I've been very. That's something about you. I love bringing up. I'll say, oh yeah, Michael B. He traded for Killer Instinct. So
Yeah.
what was the deal behind that? Like you had built up all this suspense, like whether or not you were gonna buy
Yeah.
the Killer Instinct machine, and
Well,
it was brilliant in a sense because everybody was like, is he gonna buy it or isn't he gonna buy it? But I kept saying, no, Michael B's gonna get it because he gets all the cabinets. But
I don't get all of them.
the thing is, okay, you traded a friend for it, and
Well, yeah. So allow me to explain this. Mike Dalton is a real person. I've been
yes,
at his
I
house.
know now. I know
You know
now.
now. So Mike is a really good guy, and he's a little bit too generous. So what happened was Mike was willing because I wasn't going to get Killer Instinct. I was like, no, I can't, and I really can't because I just had a kid. Me and my wife did. You'll notice I haven't bought much this past year. It's because I'm trying to be more sensible. I've spent a lot of money on home arcades. I'm out of room, a little bit out of money. So I'm trying to buy less. So Mike lent me his cabinet and he was going to lend me his Ridge Racer too. He was like, yeah, I just got him. You can take him up to your place, do reviews. No problem. I'm willing to help out. Again, super generous. So I had it up there, and every time before I do my review, I'll do like a gameplay stream, right? So I was doing the Killer Instinct one, and I put it on with the filter and I started playing people online. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And he'd already mentioned to me that we were going to do, like, he wanted to buy my Capcom Legacy unit. So while I was playing, I made a comment during that stream. I was like, maybe I need to talk to Mike about this. I will actually work out some kind of trade with him for the Capcom Legacy, maybe. He wrote me the next morning and he said, yeah, just watch your stream. I'll do that trade. I was like, okay, I guess this is happening. So anyways, I wrote him back and did it. I feel terrible because like, honestly, Capcom Legacy is definitely not the same value as Killer Instinct. So that was the other reason I gave him the iArcade was because I felt bad because he traded me a Killer Instinct for a Capcom Legacy. But yeah, there it is. So he's a real person.
You
It
traded
really
the
happened.
Capcom Legacy and an iArcade for Killer Instinct.
No, iArcade hat.
Oh,
Yeah, like he straight up was just like, I just want the Capcom Legacy. Here's the other thing you also need to understand about Mike. He had he had an X-Men cab for about 2 weeks. Bought it brand new. He said, "Yeah, I bought the X-Men cab. I don't like this. I'm going to sell it." And then sold it for $500. So he picks up these things, he buys them, he enjoys picking them up, having them, displaying them. but he also gets tired of them quickly,
I
except
could
for his
see that.
iArcades, which he has 12 of now and has all 4 gold editions pre-ordered.
I could see I could see that though, especially a game like X-Men, because you can
Oh yeah.
only go through it so many times, and
Yeah.
then you're but then and then after that, you really don't have any replay value unless you're gonna have people over or you're gonna really, really be online in the lobbies. And if there's not a lot of people buying them, there's not a lot of people going in the lobbies playing it, depending on the times and all that. So you're really kind of limited with what you can do. So he's a pretty smart man. If he gets tired of it, he just says,
Yeah, but he sells it at a loss, and like
yeah.
I've tried to talk him out of it. Like, uh, I tried to say to him, "Why are you buying X-Men?" And he's like, it's the only one they had in the store, and it's the only one I didn't have yet." And I was like, "Yeah, but you could just not buy anything and keep your money." And he's like, "No, there's no fun in that."
Oh, okay. So it's all about the fun then. Well, that's good. That's a good attitude. Yeah. For a while, I will admit I didn't believe that this Mike Dalton was a real person. I thought he was somebody because you kept calling him Michael D. So I kept thinking that this was just an imaginary character you created so you could
So I laughed so much at it. I was like, why do they think like if I was ever gonna be not genuine or try to come up with a character, like the character I've already come up with is somebody that can't help himself from buying arcade one-up cabinets. Why would I create this elaborate story to try to hide the fact that I was addicted to buying them? I just bought a pot
Yeah,
and pub
the
table.
truth the
Obviously, I
truth
have
is
problems.
stranger than fiction. The truth is stranger than fiction, I guess. And so for that I will apologize because
Oh no need to apologize.
I
It was just
definitely thought it was I definitely thought it was funny, and I kept using it as like
yeah,
as a punchline because it just was so funny to me. But but yeah, now that knowing that he's a real person and it's a guy you actually trade with, and he's a genuine guy, that's great. I mean,
yeah.
that's cool to have a friend like that who's into the home arcade space that you can deal with like that. That's really amazing.
Yeah, the only problem now is I'm trying to talk him out of buying every single iArcade that has ever come out because he has a room full of iArcades. And I asked the question, do you need more than one iArcade? I don't
No,
know.
not really. Not really, you don't. And that's the reason why I won't get a gold edition because I'm happy with the iArcade that I have. And as long as I'm able to play, I don't really care about, the peripherals and being able to plug in these third party. I don't care about any of that. To me, as long as I can play the games that come out for it, I'm fine. You know,
Yeah.
Zod, please fix the chat. Sharon keeps getting blocked for some reason. Console fanboy, Sharon Peters is a mod for this channel, so there should be no problem with Sharon coming in and out of here. I made Sharon a mod for that reason, so that nobody could block her and keep her out of the chat. I've been watching Michael B for years, but never interacted until he started covering home arcade products. There you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
you've become
I've been doing this for 11 years, ZodWriter.
well, you've become iconic when it comes to this home arcade space. I mean, like I said, because for me, this is what it always was for me when it came to home arcades. There was Retro Ralph at the very top,
Yeah.
and then you have Michael B, P Dubs, and then so on, and it just goes on from there, right? And I always thought it was funny because like when I had Retro Ralph on here, I mean, him and I went on and on and on and talked about a whole bunch of things, and it just was one of the greatest conversations I ever had, and I felt like I'd known the guy all my life. But this is how it is when you are so engrossed and engulfed in this hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, I love being around people that feel the same way I do about this stuff. We're sitting here right now having these conversations, and it's the funnest thing ever because we all have a love and a passion for it that nobody else outside of this community can understand, and that's what's so great about it. We all look like crazy nut jobs to people outside of this
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's like the other day, my internet was out, and I have AT&T internet, and it's not very good internet, and so they had to come bring me a new modem, and the guy comes in, and he walked around, and he's like, nice arcade collection. And then he asked me, he's like, how long did it take you to build up, get so many arcades? I said, I've been doing it a few years. He's like, I've been thinking about getting a couple of arcades. Who do you recommend? Is there anybody online that you recommend that I check out? Because I don't know, I want to. So I'm like, yeah. So I started rattling off. I'm like Retro Ralph, Michael B, Console Fanboy, ZodWriter. I said myself because I know he didn't know who I was, so I just said my name so that maybe he would, if he would go on and he would look and he would see me there, and it would, along with all you guys. So I'm sitting there, being all like vanity, like, yeah, put me up there with Retro Ralph and Michael B and P Dubs and Console Fanboy and ZodWriter. So it was kind of fun for me, for him to actually ask that, to see my arcades and be curious enough to wanna get more into it himself. And I kind of thought that was neat. I'm like, wow, actually, so there is kind of a good thing, kind of trying to be somebody's gateway into this
Yeah.
community. I just, that made me feel good in a way when he asked about it and inquired and seemed interested.
So I'm going to tell you honestly, my favorite thing about doing YouTube and this stuff is talking to other people that just like this stuff. Like that's why I did this. You know what I mean? Like I was making videos about Nintendo, and I like doing that stuff. I didn't shift and start covering this stuff because it was a cool topic. I shifted and covering this stuff because I got really interested in it, and I wanted to associate myself with other people that liked it too. Like when I started doing YouTube, that's what it was. It was like Facebook or MySpace. You put videos up of your collection, so other people with collections would talk to you, and then you would have conversations about your collections.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, look at us right now having this conversation about our collections. I got a $9.99 super chat from my good friend, the great Retro Ralph himself. You guys just have no idea how much I bonded with Retro Ralph and how much of a friend I consider him to be. He's amazing. He says, "What's up, Zod? Awesome that you have MB, not BM. He will get the joke. Have fun, and you gotta convince MB to start the Mike Bangs Mac Bang channel. Mac Bang channel. Anyway, have a great stream and much love. Much love to you, Retro Ralph. This is amazing. Again, I couldn't be happier. Like I said at the beginning, I was so excited to have Michael B on, and I'm still a little bit home arcade starstruck to be here with Michael B. It's amazing. He's
don't say that. You're making my head big.
But it's like you make an impact. That's what I'm saying. Like you guys,
I appreciate that.
You guys just don't realize how much of an impact you make on people. It's like, for me, I never would have imagined, because I've always been an arcade fan. I grew up with the arcades. I've always loved arcades, but I never thought in a million years I would have a bunch of them in my apartment.
Right?
I never thought I would actually be in the space myself and be advocating for them and be talking to people, like-minded people who inspired me to want to do all of this. And like when I think about people like you, and again, Ralph and Console Kits and all these great people, I sit here and say to myself, this is what it means to be inspired and to be like, even like, the great Bobby Vu. Like, I didn't know the first thing about modding anything. And then I started watching Bobby, and then, deferring to like Ralph and seeing how he modded stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could mod my little play minimal Mortal Kombat. I could switch out the orange pie. I didn't know the first thing about any of that, but I figured it out and was able to do it. And I'm like, see, this is the kind of inspiration that's being bred from great people like you. This is why I feel the way that I do, because if it wasn't for you, I think the first cabinet that I bought was an arcade 1-up Pac-Man machine, because all you guys covered Pac-Man ad nauseum when it came out. And it's partly 1-up's fault because Pac-Man was their bread and butter, right? But when I got tired of Pac-Man and realized I didn't necessarily need a Pac-Man, that I would have plenty of other ways to play Pac-Man, I gifted it to a friend of mine. And I felt good about that, because I felt like at least it'll go to a good home. It'll go somewhere where it can be appreciated. And I didn't have the thought that I need to smash it like Twisted Chris or burn it or anything like that. I just was like, I'll give it away to somebody that will appreciate it and will love it. And it was the wood grain one.
Yeah, the 40th anniversary. I had that too. I love that cabinet.
And it was a nice cabinet, but at the end of the day, all it is Pac-Man. So you're just kind of
Galaga was on it too.
Oh yeah, Galaga. Was Pac-Man, Galaga. What else?
That was it. It was just Pac-Man and Galaga.
Was it just Pac-Man and Galaga?
Pac-Man and Galaga. You had a lot of Pac-Man and Galaga. That's it.
And Pac-Man had that weird filter.
All of them had the weird filter. And like I held out for as long as I could. And I remember writing John D, and I was like, you're going to do an update, because you said on 1-Up Weekly you were going to do an update for 40th anniversary Pac-Man. And then they never did the update, and I traded it, sold it, and got the Namco Legacy cabinet.
Yeah, and Michael of all trades says here, Michael B is one of the good guys. I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, you really are. I mean, the fact that you're here with me when I talk about you all the time, it's sort of, and I appreciate it. You're a good sport, and you have a great sense of humor, and you understand that none of the things that I ever said, I was trying to be personal or try to attack you personally. It's just for the joke and just for the fun of it. I never.
But listen, I get it. Like, what a ridiculous story, right? But like, if you play it back in context, like the timeline, you can see it now more. But like, if someone told me from the outside, they were like, "Wait a minute, he did that." I guess I get it. Yeah.
Let's see. I have bought so many arcade 1-ups because of Michael B's reviews. You see. You know what I mean? When they use the word, when people use the word influencer, that is exactly how you would describe it. Because if I look at you and I see something and I see your reviews sell cabinets. They do. 1-Up, all these companies need to understand that in this space, when you have someone like a Michael B or a Retro Ralph or a P Dubs or a Moat or anyone else, or a 19K Fox, whatever, these cabs are being sold based on this community. This community is selling these cabinets to normal people. It's like, and it all just kind of networks and continues. And so that's why I say, like my whole thing was, my moment was when I explained with the cable guy. The thing is, I look at everything now and I just think, what a great community we're in right now. What you talk about positivity. For the most part, this is a very positive community. It really is, because all anybody really cares about is these machines and these games and the fun and the camaraderie and the friendships and all of the networking that is developed through this. And I mean, another great individual, Mr. CT Jason himself. The home arcade community is a good group of people that welcome in new members. Yeah.
They are. And like, you talked about Bobby Vu here a lot. Like, people don't realize like how much Bobby Vu does, how he's involved in the community. Bobby Vu, awesome guy. doesn't get nearly enough shine for everything he does and what he is to the community. So thank you very much for being here, Bobby Vu. Also, Ralph earlier, he called me BM. He wrote a message on one of my videos the other day and accidentally wrote the MB backwards, BM, which stands for bowel
Bowel
movement. So I was
movement,
like,
yes. Yes, bowel movement. And that's probably how you felt when you realized what you were getting with that golden tea cabinet. But
well,
I
I didn't buy golden tea. That's a Mike Dalton purchase there, and I got to experience it firsthand.
so
And no, I didn't need to buy it.
you experienced it through Michael Dalton, and
Yeah,
therefore you realized I don't need to waste my money.
that's right. Not on that one.
That's
And
great.
it's such a shame too, because it is such a beautiful cabinet. Like they nailed everything except for the screen, and the trackball's not great. Like there was some sticking with the trackball, might just be a hiccup, but man, they did such a good job for the cabinet and then fell apart on the screen. Like it sucks.
Yeah, this is the thing I don't get. And there was, remember all the controversy with where people were comparing the screen to the iArcade and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. And I'm just like, listen, I don't know where a comparison like that would come from. Essentially, for me, the iArcade has such a great screen. I mean, if there's one thing, actually, there's two things about the iArcade that are completely standout in my opinion: the sound and the screen. Nobody's complaining about either one of those.
Now, some people have said there's washout from certain angles on the iArcade screen. I've never noticed it
I've never
because
noticed it at all.
just like I also don't have my iArcade down in my arcade one up space, my big arcade, so I don't notice the side angles. Never really noticed it, but I will say if you look at it from a low angle, much like the angle on the iArcade, you can notice it a little bit, but it's not anything compared to what the Golden Tee is.
Well,
Completely different experience.
I think the problem with the iArcade, a lot of people don't realize this is you can adjust the brightness. You can actually adjust the screen for the
Yeah.
iArcade. So you're not stuck at whatever level it comes defaulted at. You can adjust it to your liking. And so you shouldn't have any issues. You're gonna make it unique to you based off of the fact that you can adjust it. So I've never, yeah. So for that, I just,
Oh man, I'm telling you seriously though, I want this screen on the new Legacy cabinets to be so good. I'm
oh,
praying it is.
it should be. But and I asked the same question. I said, would you pay a couple $100 more if they guaranteed that it had the better screen in it versus the washed out one that everybody's complaining about?
Yeah, I think to make sure it was a BOE monitor, I definitely would have put a little bit more money into it. I'm going to be honest with you, but then again, I'm not the right person to ask. I've bought most of these cabinets. You got to ask somebody that probably wouldn't buy the cabinet otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but see, this is exactly why I think you're a good guy to ask when it comes to these cabinets, because you've bought so many of them. If I have a question about whether or not I should get a certain cab, I want to go to you because you've bought them all, and you'll be able to tell me if I have a specific issue or something. I think, well, how does this one play in comparison to the other one? And you'd probably look at me and say, well, Zod, they all play the same. It's all the same buttons and sticks. Oh, okay. It's just to be real. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, like with this stuff, there's minor differences depending on if there's changes to the cab. Like I would tell you, the new Bandai Namco Legacy, not the newest one, but the one I bought, is a better value over the 40th anniversary Pac-Man, just because you don't have a Vaseline filter. The softening filter or whatever it is a option. You can turn it on and off. That makes the cab a million times more playable for me. Otherwise, the buttons are all in the same place. It's the exact same cabinet, no filter. Well worth the upgrade, in my opinion.
How many arcades does Michael B own? I think he answered this already. Didn't you say 12?
Including pinballs, I have 24, 19 arcade one-up cabinets, and 5 multicades, one of which is the MBSX.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. And CT Jason said he has 32.
I know, but CT Jason, man, I wish I had the room you have soon, because I'm moving some stuff around in my basement, and I'm gonna have an overflow area.
So what? So now I've come to the point where now I just got to ask you straight up, what are you most looking forward to? Which cab that has not come out yet are you most looking forward to that you believe is an absolute must-have and that everybody should buy?
Is it a or are you talking about what we know is coming out, or blue sky, what could come out?
Anything that you're most excited for that you think could come out at
Could
any
come
time.
out. See, now you've changed it. That's not blue sky. Could come out, because I mean, blue sky would be man for them to do a Donkey Kong cabinet. But then again, they're never getting Nintendo, so that doesn't matter.
That's one thing I'll never understand. Doesn't Donkey Kong have an anniversary coming up?
Oh yeah, but
I,
Nintendo
I
hates
mean,
money. I don't understand them.
I mean, Nintendo could put it out themselves.
Yeah, but they won't. They won't. Weird company. So I don't know what to say about that. But there's lots of stuff I want to see. I made a video about like all the '80s arcade games I'd love to see Arcade 1-Up remake. I'm not. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the more modern stuff. So
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff that's coming out this year, I'm very excited for other people. But like Blitz doesn't do anything for me. Like that's not my jam. I'm not gonna get Blitz. I don't intend to. Also, I do like the idea of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. The whole backstory on that's awesome. And if that really is coming out, like awesome for everybody, I'm hoping it's more of a legacy cab so I can get rid of my X-Men versus Street Fighter and then maybe get some of the games I lost to my Marvel Superheroes cab back on that. And like Time Crisis, I don't really care about. Like so, more the modern stuff that was outside my nostalgia level, I'm okay with. But like retro stuff, like Dragon's Lair, I got Dragon's Lair pre-ordered. I'm really excited about that, and I'm hoping there's some other really cool '80s shit coming out in the very near future as well.
Yeah, yeah. I hope so. I mean, you know what? I know I'm crazy, but I'd like to see a Cupid at some point. But that's just
I would. Me too. Yeah.
that's just me. I mean, we've got let's see, we've got that dude Vince says I loved Blitz, but don't think I could get it for one game. Blitz would probably have what, like 3 different versions of Blitz on it.
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about Blitz to tell you the truth. Like, I don't know how many versions of Blitz were all done in the same engine. Like, we were talking about it the other day. Maybe it's only one game, but I don't know. I really don't know anything about Blitz, the series, at all.
That dude Vince brings up Area 51. That's a cool game. And Console Fanboy says I'm getting Blitz 100%. And it's a Midway game. Blitz would look so great next to MK and the Midway family. I'm hoping Blitz has more than one game. If not, it's not worth it. Yeah, this one game stuff I think is kind of ridiculous unless it's going to be an exact replica.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, especially because they're so expensive. It's not like you're getting them cheap.
Yeah.
But man, Michael B, I want to say thank you again very much for being here, man. I really appreciate you coming here tonight and joining me for this. It's been so much fun, man. Any final thoughts?
No, thank you so much for having me on. And again, like all you had to do was ask. I'm happy to jump on with anybody and talk about the stuff. It's what I enjoy. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm doing YouTube right now.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. You do great stuff. Definitely keep doing what you're doing. I love it. I'm a fan of yours, and now I'm a fan of Michael D too. Now that I know he's real,
he's a real person.
He's a real guy. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the best late night Q&As. It's been so much fun. I thank everybody for being here and for joining me and Michael B for this excellent episode. I'll be back next week for more, and of course you can catch Michael B as always. Michael B's links are in this description, both for Michael B's channel if you're not subscribed to Michael B, as well as Super Game Room Dudes. So you're going to make sure you want to subscribe to both of those channels if you haven't already. Shouts out to everybody. Thank you very much for watching. And one of these days, that Sharon Peters interview will happen. Because we are going to make it happen. It is going to be legit one of these days. You will all get to hear the real Sharon Peters live. So stay tuned for that. Good night, everybody.